Oregon Ducks are back in contention for the number one class in America, sitting at number 3. Think they faded to 7 or 8 as recently as last week, but Devon Benjamin on Saturday, Tank Jones last Thursday. We covered the Tank Jones recruitment. We went with your show right after Tank Jones committed to the Ducks, but take us behind the scenes of this Devon Benjamin commitment on Saturday.
Well, Oregon was always considered the program to beat for Devon Benjamin, but he had to go through his process, dot his I's, cross his T's, have conversations with other programs, go visit these schools multiple times to make sure he wasn't making the wrong decision and following just his heart, but getting his mind in tune with where his heart was. And Oregon checked all the boxes for him, the relationship with the staff, the way they treated him like family, certainly, and obviously the NIL component. Where Oregon's at as a program, they're the defending Big Ten champs. They're competing for a national championship. Chris Hampton, one of the best recruiters in the country. Tosh Lupoy, one of the best recruiters in the country. Dan Lanning, no head coach goes harder on the trail. They made Benjamin feel at home, made his family feel at home, where the program's at, how they're developing players from the high school ranks and the transfer portal, and then the NIL component. They were able to hold off Michigan. They were able to hold off Texas. He visited North Carolina. Miami was in there. There were several programs that he gave an opportunity to beat Oregon, USC, of course, but nobody could surpass the Ducks. He's now officially in the fold, Rivals number one corner, one of the jewels of this Oregon class that does indeed rank number 3 nationally.
All right. So as summer winds down, this was probably Oregon's last big recruiting weekend of just the summer. Fall's right around the corner. What would they like to add to this class before it's all over?
Well, I think they're holding tight. I mean, I think that if there was an elite prospect that they could flip down the road, they would certainly get that spatula out, whether it's at the wide receiver position, someone else on the defensive line. But I think Oregon and Coach Lanning and company are very excited about the class they have in the fold right now. And this fall, it's about roster retention, knowing where you got to put your money for next year with backups and the players on your 2 deep that maybe aren't the frontline starters, but they're going to be down the road. And then certainly having the capital to also make moves in the transfer portal after the season with guys that play elsewhere. I think Oregon's high school class is about done right now, unless an elite player like a Chris Henry Jr., a Caden Dixon Wyatt, his teammate at Mater Day, or somebody on the defensive line maybe becomes available here as the season progresses.
Yeah, they miss on Deuce Gerald, who ends up at LSU, so maybe down the road we could see them move on another defensive lineman. Speaking of defensive linemen, Justin Hopkins was on our show yesterday, and he kind of tipped us off about 2027 defensive lineman. He's a 5-star, Jalen Brewster. There's rumors, nothing official, he hasn't said anything, he hasn't done anything, but a potential reclassification, meaning Jalen Brewster, a 5-star in 2027, could soon be a prospect in the 2026 class. So that being said, Justin said that, he's not a slam dunk to land at Oregon, but Oregon is involved. So who are some other teams that are also involved right now with Jalen Brewster?
Well, I talked to Jalen Brewster's dad, Robert, this morning, played at Ball State, Fighting Football Cardinals up here in the Hoosier State.
Shout out.
Chirp. And played for the Dallas Cowboys, was drafted in the 3rd round. I talked to him this morning, and he said that Jalen's not planning on reclassifying, going to play his 2 years of high school and continue to prepare for that next level. Oregon is in his top 10. There are certainly other programs that are in the thick of it for his recruitment. And look, things change. Maybe he is reclassifying and they're not ready to maybe that's a work in progress that they're not willing to say, but per his father right now, he is not reclassifying. He's staying in that 2027 class. They're lining up their visits for the fall right now. He's certainly one of the most coveted players in this rising junior class, and Oregon is one of the schools in the mix.
Yeah, good intel there, and maybe he won't reclassify, but, last year at this time, Jakeem Stewart was denying a reclassification was in the process. So we'll always just keep an eye on Jalen Brewster. Either way, we're going to cover him this cycle or next. He's a 5-star on that defensive line. All right, Oregon fans, what do you think the Ducks need to add before signing day? Talk to us. Let us know. Comment section below.